Hejin stared at her data pad in disbelief. The numbers couldn't be right. She ran the environmental scan again, but the results stayed the same. The small blue planet called Earth showed readings that should have made life impossible. "This can't be correct," she mumbled, adjusting her protective suit. Her ship hung in orbit above Earth, hidden from the planet's primitive detection systems. As senior researcher for the Galactic Survey Corps, she had visited hundreds of worlds, but none like this. The scanner showed deadly levels of oxygen, a highly reactive gas that should have made complex life impossible. The temperature swings between regions were extreme. Some areas burned at 40 degrees, while others froze at -40. The gravity was crushingly high by galactic standards. Yet somehow, life didn't just exist here. It thrived. Hejin zoomed in on a city near a large ocean. Humans walked around without any protection, breathing the corrosive oxygen atmosphere like it was nothing. They played in the water, ran under the burning sun, and lived in places where snow piled up higher than their buildings. "Control, are you seeing this?" she asked, sending the latest scans to the Survey Corps headquarters. "Confirmed. Researcher Hejin," a voice crackled back. "We've triple-checked your readings. These humans, they're living in conditions that would kill most species in minutes." She watched a group of humans having something called a beach party. They were deliberately lying in direct sunlight, swimming in salt water that would irritate most species' skin, and eating food cooked with actual fire. Any one of these activities would be considered extremely dangerous by galactic standards. "They're not just surviving," Hejin noted in her official report. "They're building civilizations in places we would mark as completely uninhabitable." She moved her ship over different regions of Earth. In vast deserts, humans had built cities. In frozen wastelands, they had research stations. In humid jungles full of dangerous life forms, they had thriving communities. They even lived on mountains so high that the air was thin, and simply carried extra oxygen with them when they needed it. The most shocking thing was their adaptability. Humans could survive in almost any environment with minimal protection, while other species needed complex environmental suits and protective bubbles. Humans just put on some basic clothing and carried on with their lives. Hejin remembered her training about Deathworlds, planets too dangerous for settlement. Earth had all the marks of a death world: high gravity, extreme weather, dangerous wildlife, and unstable geology. Yet here was a species that called such a place home. She spent 3 days observing different regions of Earth. She watched humans climb frozen mountains for fun. She saw them dive into deep oceans with only simple breathing equipment. She observed them living in places so hot that her ship's cooling systems had to work at full power just to maintain a safe temperature for her. "Control," she said, finalizing her report, "I think we need to completely rethink our definition of habitable. These humans, they don't just survive here. They've turned survival into an art form." The response from Control was slow in coming. "Acknowledged. Researcher Hejin. Return to base. The Council will want to hear about this directly." As she prepared her ship for the jump home, Hejin took one last look at Earth. On her screens, she could see people surfing on dangerous ocean waves, hiking through snake-filled forests, and even jumping out of flying vehicles for entertainment. They had taken everything dangerous about their world and turned it into something to enjoy. "Maybe," she thought, writing her final observation, "what we call a death world is just a matter of perspective. And maybe these humans could teach us a thing or two about turning death into life." Her ship's engines hummed to life, and Earth became smaller in her viewport. Hejin knew that her discovery would shake the galactic community, a species that could thrive in conditions others found lethal. It would change everything. The only question was, were they ready for what this meant? As she activated the faster-than-light drive, Hejin smiled. The galaxy was about to learn that one species' death world was another's paradise, and these humans might just be the key to unlocking countless worlds previously thought uninhabitable. Dr. Kita stood before the Galactic Council, his heart beating fast, but his voice steady. He was the only human in the vast chamber, facing representatives from 50 different species. Most of them looked at him with a mixture of fear and curiosity. "Distinguished council members," he began, pointing to the holographic display behind him. "What you see as deadly, we see as opportunity. Earth has taught us how to turn hostile environments into homes." The display showed images from Earth's most extreme locations: the Sahara Desert, Antarctic research stations, and deep-sea colonies. The alien council members shifted uncomfortably in their environment-controlled seats. "Impossible," rumbled the delegate from Proxima, their crystalline form glittering. "No species can survive such conditions without full environmental protection." Kaita smiled and walked through the hologram. "Yet here I stand, breathing your air mix without a suit. Humans are different. We don't just survive, we adapt. And we can help you do the same." He brought up new images. Dozens of planets currently marked as uninhabitable. The galaxy has a resource crisis. Millions of worlds sit empty because they're too hot, too cold, or too harsh. But what if they didn't have to stay that way? The council chamber filled with murmurs. Kita had their attention now. He showed them his plan, a detailed proposal for turning deadly worlds into living ones, using human expertise and Earth-based techniques. "We've done this before," he explained, showing before and after pictures of Earth's restored ecosystems. "We turned deserts green. We cleaned polluted seas. We brought life back to dead zones. We can do the same for your uninhabitable worlds." The head counselor, a tall being with silver skin, leaned forward. "The cost would be enormous. The risks even greater. Why should we trust humans with such important work?" Kaita had waited for this question. He pressed a button, and the hologram changed to show Heijin's original survey data. "Because we're already experts at living in conditions you consider lethal. Every human child learns to swim in what you call dangerous hydrogen oxide. We build cities in places you call death zones." The council chamber erupted in debate. Some members argued loudly against trusting humans with anything so important. Others saw the potential benefits. Kita waited patiently as they argued. Finally, a small green-skinned delegate spoke up. "What exactly are you proposing, Dr. Kita?" "A pilot project," he answered. "One planet. Let us show you what we can do. If we fail, you lose nothing. The planet is already uninhabitable. But if we succeed," he let the possibility hang in the air. The council members looked at each other, sending silent messages through their neural links. "And you would lead this project?" asked the head counselor. "No," Kite replied, surprising them. "I would oversee it, but we have better people for the actual work. Commander Eugene and his team have experience in extreme environment adaptation. They've already transformed several dead zones on Earth." The council took a recess to discuss the proposal. Kita waited outside the chamber, watching ships fly past the massive windows of the space station. Each one carried beings who could only live in carefully controlled environments. He imagined a future where they could walk freely on any world they chose. 3 hours later, they called him back in. The head counselor stood, silver skin reflecting the room's lights. "Dr. Kita, the council has reached a decision. Your pilot project is approved, with conditions. You will be closely monitored. Any sign of failure, any hint of danger, and we shut it down immediately." Kaita bowed slightly. "Thank you, Council. We won't let you down." As he left the chamber, Kita sent a message to Earth. "Project approved. Assemble the team." Then he looked back at the council chamber and smiled. They had no idea what humans could really do when given a chance to prove themselves. The real work was about to begin. Soon, the galaxy would learn that death was just another word for opportunity, at least from a human perspective. Commander Eugene walked through the underground training facility in Antarctica, watching potential team members work in simulated alien environments. The cold outside was brutal, but it made for perfect training conditions. If someone could work here, they could work almost anywhere. "Show me the final candidates," he said to his assistant. A holographic display appeared, showing 4 faces. These were the best Earth had to offer, chosen from thousands of applicants. First was Dr. Sun Mai, working in the plant testing chamber. She stood surrounded by strange-looking plants, carefully adjusting their growing conditions. Her previous work had helped grow food in the Sahara Desert. Now she was teaching plants to survive in alien gravity. "The mushrooms are adapting well to the high-gravity environment," Sun Mai reported, not looking up from her work. "If we can get these to grow, we can start building a food chain on any planet." In the next room, Taiwan was testing new drilling equipment. His machines could break through any kind of rock while strengthening the surrounding ground. He had learned his skills helping to rebuild cities after earthquakes. "The ground on our target planet will be unstable," Taiwan explained, shutting down his drill. "But that's nothing new. Earth's tectonic plates taught us everything we need to know about handling shaky ground." Atmospheric specialist Ji Su worked in a sealed chamber, mixing different gases. She had spent years studying Earth's changing atmosphere and knew how to turn poisonous air breathable. Her chamber simulated the deadly atmosphere of their target planet. "It's all about balance," she said, adjusting her instruments. "Every poison can become harmless if you know how to change it. Earth's atmosphere was toxic once too." Yu Jin watched them all through the observation windows. Each expert had proven themselves in Earth's harshest environments. Now they would face something even harder. "Commander," a voice called. He turned to see Dr. Kita entering the facility, wrapped in heavy winter gear. The Galactic Council sent new data about Nexus 7. Yu Jin looked at the information. The planet they would try to transform was worse than they thought. Gravity almost twice Earth's normal pull. Temperature swings that could melt metal or freeze air. Air so toxic it could eat through normal protective gear. "Perfect," Yu Jin said, smiling. "This is exactly what we've trained for." He gathered the team in the main conference room. The walls showed images of Nexus 7, their target planet. It looked like a ball of angry storms and burning rocks. "This is our challenge," he told them. "The Council chose the hardest planet they could find. They don't think we can survive there, let alone transform it. They don't know Earth very well, do they?" Sun Mai said, studying the planet's soil samples. "We have microbial life that eats radiation for breakfast," Ji Su added. "Their toxic atmosphere is just another puzzle to solve." Taiwan was already drawing up plans for underground shelters. "The high gravity will make building harder, but we can use it to our advantage. More gravity means stronger support structures." Yu Jin watched his team work. Other species saw them as crazy for wanting to visit a death world. But every human in this room had grown up reading stories about exploring strange new worlds. They had trained their whole lives for this chance. "The Council will be watching everything we do," he reminded them. "We're not just proving we can survive there. We're showing them that humans can turn any world into a home." The team spent the next week testing their equipment in Antarctica's harsh conditions. They practiced working in heavy gravity suits. They ran drills for every kind of emergency they could think of. Finally, the day came to leave. As their ship prepared for launch, Yu Jin looked at his team. Each person carried Earth's knowledge and determination with them. They were about to show the galaxy what humans could really do. "Remember," he said as they boarded, "what looks like death to others is just a challenge to us. Let's go make a death world live." The ship rose into the sky, carrying humanity's best hope for proving themselves to the galaxy. Their real test was about to begin. The human ship broke through Nexus 7's outer atmosphere, shaking violently. In the observation deck, alien scientists watched through thick windows as the humans prepared to do what they considered impossible. "Surface temperature is 62 degrees Celsius, Ji Su reported from her station. "Gravity is 1.8 times Earth normal. Atmospheric toxicity is high." She smiled. "Just like home during the volcanic summer of 2023. Commander Yu-jin stood at the main window, watching the dark clouds below. 3 alien ships hung in orbit, their crews unwilling to go any closer to the surface. They thought this mission was suicide. Landing zone picked, Taiwan called out. Found a spot between 2 mountain ranges. The ground is stable enough for our base. The ship descended through layers of toxic clouds. Wind speeds hit 200 kilometers per hour, but the human crew stayed calm. They had trained in Earth's hurricanes for this. Alien observers are requesting we turn back, Sun Mai said, reading a message. They say these conditions are unsurvivable. Yu-jin grabbed the radio. Thank you for your concern, but we call this Tuesday back home. He turned to his crew. Let's show them what humans can do. The ship landed with a heavy thud. Outside, hot acid rain fell from black clouds. The ground was cracked and steaming. Nothing lived here, yet. Suits on, everyone, Yu-jin ordered. First team with me. We're going to build our home. They put on their protective suits, designed to handle Earth's worst conditions, and upgraded for Nexus 7. The alien observers watched in shock as the cargo bay door opened. The first step onto Nexus 7 was harder than expected. The high gravity made every movement difficult. The wind tried to knock them over. The air was so hot it made their cooling systems work overtime, just like mountain climbing in a sauna. Taiwan joked, setting up the first foundation anchor. Anyone want to go for a jog? The team worked quickly, following the plans they had practiced hundreds of times. Within hours, they had the basic structure of their base set up. The aliens watching from orbit couldn't believe their eyes. First shelter secure, Yu-jin reported to the Galactic Council. Beginning phase 1 of surface preparation. Inside the base, Sun Mai set up her plant laboratory. She had brought special seeds, grown from plants that lived near Earth's volcanic vents. These little ones eat sulfur for breakfast, she explained to the camera recording their progress. They'll love it here. Jae-soo worked on her atmospheric processors. The machines would slowly change the toxic air into something breathable, just like Earth's first plants had done billions of years ago. Hard to believe Earth used to look like this, she said, checking the air readings. And now look at our home. Blue skies, clean air, life everywhere. This place just needs a little help to get there. The alien scientists sent more warnings about dangerous conditions. Storm clouds were gathering, bringing even worse weather. The humans just worked faster. Storm coming, Taiwan called out. Big one. Everyone inside. They watched from their base as the storm hit. Lightning struck the ground. Acid rain fell harder. The wind howled like 1,000 angry animals. But their base held strong. The humans had built it using lessons learned from every natural disaster Earth had thrown at them. While the aliens in orbit feared for their safety, the human team ate dinner and planned their next day's work. Send a message to the council, Yu-jin told his communications officer. Tell them, Day 1 complete. Base established. Beginning terraforming operations tomorrow. Weather conditions are perfect. He looked at his team, tired but proud. They had done what the galaxy thought impossible. They had survived their first day on a death world. But surviving wasn't enough. They were here to turn this dead planet into a living one. Get some rest, he told them. Tomorrow, we start teaching this world how to live. Outside, the storm raged on. But inside their base, the humans slept peacefully, dreaming of the garden they would grow in this place of death. 3 months into their mission on Nexus 7, the warning alarms woke everyone up. Jae-soo reached the control room first, her eyes widening at the readings on the screen. Commander, she called out, you need to see this. Yu-jin rushed in, followed by the rest of the team. The weather monitors showed a massive storm system, bigger than anything they had seen before. It covered half the planet and was heading straight for them. The Galactic Council is ordering immediate evacuation, Sun Mai reported, reading the incoming messages. They say this storm will destroy everything we've built. Outside their base, the first signs of their work were showing. Small patches of tough grass grew in protected areas. The air processors had cleared a small bubble of less toxic atmosphere. 3 months of hard work was starting to pay off. If we leave now, we lose everything, Taiwan said, looking at their progress monitors. The storm will wipe out all our plants. The atmospheric changes will reverse. Yu Jin stood quietly, watching the storm approach on the screens. The aliens in orbit were already retreating to a safe distance. They thought no one could survive what was coming. "What's the worst storm you've ever seen on Earth?" he asked his team. "Hurricane Maria," Ji-Soo answered. "Typhoon Haiyan," said Sunmei. "The great red spot on Jupiter makes this look small," Taiwan added with a smile. "And we got better equipment than those storm chasers had." Yu Jin nodded. "Send a message to the council. Tell them we're staying. Then tell me how we can use this storm to our advantage." The team jumped into action. On Earth, they had learned that every disaster could also be an opportunity. This would be no different. "The storm's carrying a lot of water in those clouds," Ji-Soo said, studying the data. "Toxic water, but water we can clean. If we can capture it." "The lightning," Taiwan interrupted. "That much electrical power, we could use it to power the air processors at full strength." Sunmai was already checking her plants. Some of these species love electrical stimulation. The lightning might actually help them grow faster. They worked quickly to prepare. Taiwan set up lightning rods to catch and store the storm's power. Ji-Soo modified the air processors to handle more water. Sunmai protected her strongest plants and left others to face the storm, knowing some would adapt and grow stronger. The storm hit with incredible force. Winds reached 500 kilometers per hour. Lightning struck the ground thousands of times per minute. Acid rain fell so hard it began to reshape the landscape. Inside their reinforced base, the humans monitored everything. Every lightning strike sent power surging into their batteries. The water collectors filled faster than expected. Their strongest plants bent in the wind, but did not break. "Just like old Earth storms," Yu Jin said, watching the displays. "Powerful enough to destroy, but also powerful enough to create something new." Hours passed. The storm raged on. The alien observers, watching from a safe distance, were amazed. Not only were the humans surviving, but they were also using the storm's power to speed up their work. Finally, after 18 hours, the storm began to pass. As the wind died down, the team suited up to check for damage. What they found surprised even them. The storm had cleared away large areas of toxic surface crust. The lightning had changed the chemical makeup of the soil, making it more suitable for plants. Their strongest plants had not just survived. They had spread their seeds during the storm. "Send another message to the council," Yu Jin ordered, looking at the changed landscape. "Tell them the storm just did 3 months of work for us. We're ahead of schedule now." The aliens couldn't understand it. How could anyone take something so destructive and turn it into progress? But that was what humans did best. They turned death into life, destruction into creation. As the team began replanting and rebuilding, they knew something had changed. They hadn't just survived a deadly storm. They had proven that humans could face the worst a Deathworld could throw at them and come out stronger. The real work was just beginning. Dr. Sunmai hadn't slept in 2 days, but she couldn't stop smiling. In her lab at the heart of the Nexus 7 base, she watched her newest plants grow. These weren't just surviving. They were thriving in the toxic air. "Commander," she called over the radio, "you need to see this. Bring everyone." When the team gathered in her lab, she pointed to a row of tall, dark green plants. Their leaves were thick and strange-looking, but they were clearly alive and healthy. "These plants aren't just tolerating the toxic air," she explained. "They're eating it. Just like Earth's first plants ate carbon dioxide, these eat the poison in Nexus 7's atmosphere." Yu Jin leaned close to look at the plants. They had started as normal Earth plants, But Sun Mai had helped them change and adapt. Now they were something new. The first true plants of Nexus 7. How fast can they clean the air? Ji-Su asked, already thinking about her atmospheric processors. Faster than our machines, Sun Mai replied. And they make new plants on their own. We won't have to keep planting them. Taiwan touched one of the leaves carefully. Will they survive outside? The gravity and storms are still pretty rough out there. Sun Mai walked to a sealed door at the back of her lab. Let me show you something even better. She opened the door to reveal a test chamber. Inside, more plants grew in conditions exactly like the outside world. High gravity, toxic air, extreme heat. These plants were even stronger than the first ones. I used seeds from the plants that survived the big storm, she explained. Each new generation is stronger than the last. They're adapting faster than I expected. The team watched as Sun Mai showed them more plants. Some grew thick roots that could crack rocks, making space for smaller plants to grow. Others produced sweet fruit that could grow in the harsh conditions. Each plant helped make the planet more livable. The aliens didn't understand. Sun Mai said, checking her computer readings. Life doesn't just adapt. It changes everything around it to suit itself better. That's how Earth became livable billions of years ago. Ji-Su was already making plans. If we plant these across the valley, they'll clean the air faster than our machines. We can move the processors to new areas. The roots will help stabilize the ground, too, Taiwan added. Less chance of earthquakes if these spread wide enough. Yu Jin watched his team get excited about the new plants. This was what they had hoped for, not just surviving on Nexus 7, but helping it come alive. They sent samples and data to the Galactic Council. The alien scientists were shocked. They had thought it would take centuries to change Nexus 7's atmosphere. Sun Mai's plants could do it in decades. Life finds a way, Sun Mai told the council in her report. You just have to help it get started. The next week, they began planting the new species outside. The plants grew quickly, spreading across the valley floor. Where there had been only dead rock before, green patches now appeared. Small insects from Earth, carefully chosen by Sun Mai, were released next. They helped the plants spread and grow stronger. Just like on Earth, a whole ecosystem was starting to develop. The council wants to send a team to study the plants, Yu Jin told Sun Mai one evening. They've never seen anything like this. Sun Mai looked up from her work with tired but happy eyes. Tell them to wait a few more weeks. By then, we'll have flowers. The alien scientists couldn't understand how humans had done it. How had they turned deadly poison into plant food? How had they made earth plants grow in such harsh conditions? But every human knew the answer. Life on Earth had faced worse challenges and survived. The seeds of Earth carried 4 billion years of survival knowledge. Now those seeds were teaching a new world how to live. As Sun Mai worked late into the night, she smiled at her plants. Soon, Nexus 7 would have its own unique life, born from Earth's toughest survivors. The Deathworld was learning to live. Taiwan stood before a crowd of alien scientists, showing them how his new ground-stabilizing machines worked. After the success with Sun Mai's plants, the Galactic Council had called for a special meeting to learn from the humans. The key is working with the planet, not against it, he explained, pointing to his diagrams. We don't try to stop the ground from moving. We help it move in ways that make things more stable. The aliens watched with great interest. Many of them had planets they couldn't use because the ground was too unstable. Now they saw a way to fix that problem. In another room, Ji-Su taught a group about atmospheric changes. Every poison can become harmless if you know how to change it, she said. Earth's air was poison once too. Now it's full of life. News of the human success had spread across the galaxy. Every day, more ships arrived at Nexus 7. They carried scientists, engineers, and leaders from different worlds. All of them wanted to see how humans had done the impossible. Look at these readings, one alien scientist said to another. checking the air quality. The toxin levels are dropping faster than any model predicted. These humans actually did it. Commander Eugene watched from his office as more visitors arrived. The base had grown much bigger now. Where there had once been only their small team, now hundreds of people worked together. Another request from the Spiral Arm Worlds. His assistant told him, they want human experts to help with their dead planets. They're offering to share their best technology in return. The commander smiled. This was exactly what they had hoped for, a chance to help other species while learning from them too. Humans were teaching the galaxy about survival, and the galaxy was teaching humans about new technologies. Dr. Kitai arrived from Earth with more news. The Council has approved 10 new terraforming projects, he told Eugene. They want human teams to lead each one. Outside the base, Nexus 7 was changing fast. Green patches covered more ground every day. The air was clearer. The storms were less violent. Life was taking hold. Remember when they call us crazy? Taiwan asked during dinner. Now they're calling us teachers. The team laughed. They had gotten used to being called Deathworlders. It had been an insult once. Now other species said it with respect. Only creatures from a death world could be tough enough to change one. Sunrise plants had spread far beyond the valley. New types were growing all the time, each one better suited to Nexus 7's conditions. Other scientists had started calling them sunrise species, plants that could live where nothing should survive. The Council wants to create a new division, Kite announced. They're calling it the Planetary Revival Corps. They want humans to train other species in survival techniques. Even the most doubtful aliens had to admit that humans had special skills. They could look at a deadly world and see possibilities. They could take the worst conditions and find ways to use them. We got a message from the ice world Frozen 5, Eugene told his team. They thought their planet would be frozen forever. Now they want to know if we can help them like we helped Nexus 7. The humans shared knowing looks. Ice worlds. They had research stations in Antarctica. Frozen 5 would be a challenge, but not an impossible one. As the day ended, Eugene stood at his favorite viewing window. He could see the lights of other bases now, built by different species learning to live on Nexus 7. The planet that was supposed to kill them had become a school instead. Send a message back to Earth, he told his communications officer. Tell them to start training more teams. The galaxy is full of worlds that need our help. The stars shone brightly overhead. Somewhere out there, countless dead worlds waited for their chance to live. And now, thanks to the humans of Earth, they would get that chance. The age of the Deathworlders had begun. Hajin stood at the window of her research ship, looking down at Nexus 7. 1 year had passed since she first discovered humans living on their death world Earth. Now she could hardly believe what she saw below. Where there had once been only toxic storms and dead rock, she now saw patches of green spreading across the surface. The violent storms had grown weaker. The poisonous clouds were thinner. Permission to land granted, the control tower called. Welcome back, senior researcher Hajin. As her ship descended, she saw the changes more clearly. Several research bases dotted the landscape. Fields of Sunmez special plants stretched into the distance. Teams from different species worked together in the open air, wearing only light protection suits. Commander Eugene met her at the landing pad. Welcome to the new Nexus 7, he said. Would you like a tour? They walked through the main base, passing aliens and humans working side by side. In one lab, scientists studied Sunmez plants. In another, engineers learned Taiwan's ground stabilizing techniques. Remember when everyone thought this place would kill us? Eugene asked as they walked. Now we have a waiting list of species wanting to build homes here. Hajin stopped to watch a group of alien children in a classroom. They were learning about Earth's history, how life had changed a toxic planet into a living world, just like they were doing on Nexus 7. The Council says, this is just the beginning, she told Eugene. They've identified 50 more planets like this one, All of them could support life if we helped them change. They reached a large observation dome where Ji-Su worked with her atmospheric tools. The air inside was clean enough to breathe without masks. Outside, the sky had a hint of blue. The poison is becoming part of the life cycle, Ji-Su explained. Just like on Earth, what kills one species feeds another. Soon this planet will have its own balance. In her plant lab, Sunmid showed them her newest creation, flowers that could survive in the open air. Their petals were thick and strange-looking, but they were beautiful in their own way. The first Nexus 7 natives, Sunmai said proudly. They've never known Earth. This is their home world. Hejin took notes as they walked, just like she had done on Earth a year ago. But this time, she wasn't studying how humans survived. She was learning how they helped others survive too. We're opening a training center next month, Ta Huan told her. Species from all over the galaxy want to learn our techniques. They'd stopped calling Earth a death world. Now they call it a teacher world. At the end of the tour, they stood on an observation platform. The setting sun painted the sky in strange colors. In the valley below, workers were building new homes for the first permanent residents. A year ago, I thought humans were crazy to live in such dangerous conditions, Hejin admitted. Now I understand. You didn't just learn to survive. You learned to help others survive too. Jin nodded. That's the real secret of Earth. Life doesn't just adapt to harsh conditions. It changes them, makes them better for everyone. As darkness fell, lights came on across the valley. Each light represented a dream coming true, the dream of turning dead worlds into living ones. Human teams were already preparing to visit other planets, ready to teach what they had learned. I need to update my original report, Hejin said, looking at her notes. Humans aren't just Deathworlders anymore. You're life-bringers. The stars appeared overhead, countless points of light in the dark sky. Each one might hold a world waiting to live. Thanks to the humans and their Earth-learned lessons, those worlds would get their chance. A new age had begun in the galaxy. The age when death turned to life, when impossible became possible, when the lessons of one tough world helped wake up countless others. And it all started because humans refused to believe that any world was truly dead.